What's the first fight that makes the most sense, in your opinion?
The first fight that makes the most sense? Don't really matter. It depends what these guys gonna do. You know, I heard something about burials, and so I think they trying to throw burials at me. You know, anybody though.
I saw a tweet today by Jaron Ennis Boots, and he's talking about that's not how he wanted to get the belt. You know, but he still wants Terrence Crawford. This is just more save-face tactics by the same people that employ the same tactics that they've been employing. Errol Spence, when he used to tell everybody that fight's going to happen, you know, get a belt first and everything, always moving the goalposts and that sort of thing. We saw how that, you know, took however many years it took till we finally got to the fight. And as I told you guys years prior, I told you it was going to be anticlimactic. I told you it was still going to be entertaining, but you know, it was just going to be a fight where one guy never was truly on the level of the other guy. And, you know, it was never going to live up to this true 50-50 matchup. I told you guys it wasn't even close. Video proof is on here if you guys ever want to go back to those videos. But now we have Jaron Ennis Boots, and we got a new cycle of this same game of save face, PR, you know, those type of games that are being played. And for Jaron Ennis Boots to try to save face and do damage control, saying that they truly wanted Terrence Crawford again, just like with Spence, we always called it out with evidence. You understand, the fact of the matter is you guys knew what you were doing all along. When he went to the IBF route, you understand, I'm pretty sure he already knew or heard word of how they planned to move him, hence why he went the IBF route, guys. He called out Spence. It's on the video. We can play that crap for you. You know, I just don't feel like involving myself too much on another saga of where we have this imaginary line in the sand, and the Spence fans knew the truth the whole time, but they were still saving face themselves. And this same group, they now have a lifeline, you understand, and that's in the form of Jaron Ennis Boots. But Jaron Ennis Boots and his father knew what they were doing the whole time. When his dad said that we're loyal to Showtime, although they're not signed to Showtime, you know what I'm saying? All the signs are there, and the evidence is right there in front of your face. The guy knew what he was doing the whole time, and he was playing politics the whole time. This is what he has chosen. Terrence Crawford is 36 right now, and Jaron Ennis Boots does present a harder challenge than Errol Spence, than Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, any of those guys. You understand, he has talent, he has punch placement and timing, unlike Errol Spence, who's a repetitious broken record, a guy who literally is going to throw jab, jab, straight left or whatever. He's going to throw the same sequence. Jaron Ennis Boots has a lot more potential and just more. He has more to his moveset than a guy like Errol Spence. He can go to the body. He can go to the head. Again, he can mask his shots better. Errol Spence, you know, he's going to telegraph everything that he does. You literally have to sit there, let him throw his two jabs, and you know that that overhand left or straight left is coming. You understand. With Boots, it is a little bit more trickier, and like I said, it is a little bit harder stylistic matchup. Boots can't cut off the ring, as we saw against Karen. Again, as we mentioned in our last video, there are a few blips. His chin is not what people think it is. You understand? He's at that point where he's taking shots and he's just trying to save face, like they don't affect him as much. I could possibly do a film study if I feel like it, but I did this crap for years. I took crap from a bunch of fans telling you that 1 + 1 = 2. You know what I'm saying? I really feel like I don't have to prove myself to anybody when it comes to boxing. And again, I don't do this for clicks, views, or likes. But Boots, he does the same thing. Maybe in the future we can mention those weaknesses if it comes to any kind of fruition. If there is a matchup, you know, that I find worth mentioning and going over. Again, it's very harder for me as the days go by to really get into this new era of boxing. And like I said, it's becoming a fake sport. It's a fake it till you make it sport. It's all about PR. It's all about smoke and mirrors, matchmaking and everything else. And these fighters, they get to a point where they were like Ennis Boots, like keep working hard and, you know, you want to prove yourself and everything else, but then you accept the game, you know, and then you become, you know, just the little puppet that they want you to be, you know what I'm saying? And then you start to lose heart. It becomes about a paycheck, and you see that they don't have the same fire and desire, you know, and they get addicted to the easy fights, you know what I'm saying? And when it comes to a point in time where they actually fight someone who's not there to lay down and things like that, we've already talked about this, you'll see that a lot of these fighters typically get exposed or even lose, you know what I'm saying? But all you have to do is look at the Gary Russell fights in the amateurs and look at the George Sosa fight. You're going to see the same weaknesses. Even against his last fight, oh boy, I keep forgetting dude's name. You know, you just got to throw punches at Jaron in his boots. And out of his pride, he's going to, again, try to save face. Now, his last opponents, they don't know how to put their punches together. They don't know how to seize openings like a Terrence Crawford, who even as a 36-year-old is one of, if not one of the best in the sports. But Jaron in his boots, again, you're just looking at the next maybe black version of Lomachenko. For those, a lot of you haven't seen my prediction on Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez. We called that fight to a T as well. In fact, I liked that prediction video better than a lot of my other prediction videos that I came out with. But we were one of the few people back then that was telling people how that fight was going to go. And I think a lot of you, if you do take the time to actually watch it, there's a lot of cursing and everything else. But you'll kind of be a little shocked just how accurate the prediction video was and how we called it to very minute details on tendencies and things like that. So, you know, but to me, this guy, he has weaknesses. The networker, whoever's going to be backing this guy, and the narratives and the Boxing Writers Association and everybody else, they're all going to be in on it, just like they were for guys like Triple G, just like Spence, just like Lomachenko, of course, Tyson Fury. You see how these people, they always try to tell you that these guys are the best, greatest thing since sliced bread. You know, they're better than Ali and all this other nonsense. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I know Bud knocks dude out and gets him up out of there. Jaron in his boots does have a chance of hurting Crawford and possibly even putting him down. But again, I know Crawford has X factors that a lot of other people don't have. They're pretty much on the level of a guy like Michael Jordan. If you hurt Crawford, you know what I'm saying? You know, if you manage to beat Dr. Jekyll, you're going to have to deal with Mr. Hyde. Teddy Atlas said, you know, you deal with Bruce Banner, but now you got to deal with Hulk. You know, he said something along the degree of that. And I know that not too many guys can handle that type of just formidable, competitive attitude. I'm telling you, he's talented enough to give Crawford problems. The style matchup is what, again, Crawford's going to have to deal with another guy that knows how to time counter and can seize openings like himself. But, you know, that's when other X factors are going to come into play for a guy like Terrence Crawford. And in his boots, as far as I can tell, I've not seen him really adapt. I've seen him more so like a Roy Jones at the end of his career, where his muscle memory and everything else is only in tune to do certain things, you know, and he's forgotten the steps and other things that got him to the point where he's at. A lot of people, they give Roy Jones crap, but he already beat 2 Hall of Famers early in his career, and that's just something that you rarely see today. You know, James Toney, Bernard Hopkins, guys, those are both all-time greats, you know, definitely Hall of Famers, whatever argument people want to come with. And then he started moving up, and he pretty much did some amazing things. You got to understand, he was about Triple G size. Triple G barely started moving up a higher weight class, you know, towards the end of his career, and he was getting exposed by guys like Deverenchenko and things like that. But even early in his career, when he was 28, like Kasim Uma, you could see a lot of the flaws and everything and how they were, you know, he was pretty much a fluffed up fighter. This is going to make a lot of people mad because, again, the boxing world today, you guys are so used to proxy race war and you're so sensitive today, and you figure that I'm just racist and I hate Eastern European fighters and whatever else. But then you guys are okay when I talk about a fighter like Spence or whatever else. You know, it's pretty sad how a lot of us, we just can't be honest with each other, you know, and you guys like have to defend the otter, when you hear criticism about a fighter that doesn't even know you exist. But it is what it is, man. I do have Terrence Crawford. Should they meet, he's gonna knock Drawn in his boots out. I'm sorry. George Sosa fight again. You'll see the same tendencies that gave Boots problems when you go back even to his amateur days when he was losing against Gary Russell Jr. Little brother. You understand? And I know Crawford will be able to pick up on that. Let's say that it takes Crawford 4 or 5 rounds at this point of his career to adapt. You understand? Oh, well, you finally are in a fight where you actually lose 4 rounds. For some reason, the judges gave one judge gave Sean Porter 4 rounds, I believe, against Terrence Crawford. I don't think that was the case. The other 2 judges didn't. But I think that's the first fight where you could clearly say that Terrence Crawford on one scorecard lost 4 rounds. Typically, he's been very consistent. He never loses more than 3 rounds. And again, what people also see as slow adjustments made by Crawford, like he's downloading and whatever, it's really not that slow. He actually does pretty quick adaptation on opponents. Against Mean Machine, when he did get sent to the canvas, again, he realized what it was, and he was actually trying to bait Mean Machine to actually throw that overhand right again so that he could catch him with his own left. And Mean Machine even took notice to that. You can see a complete turnaround, as soon as he got back up. And then 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, you see how Crawford little by little starts to take over. It was the same with Hank Lundy. Hank Lundy did win the first round. He was landing some nice, combinations on Terrence Crawford. To me, he had more success than Errol Spence. You know what I'm saying? He won a way more clear round than what anyone gave credit for Errol Spence winning. I can tell you that right now. But immediately, second round comes along, Crawford immediately adapts. Again, it may appear slow, and it may appear it takes him a while to download all the information and things like that, but he's actually pretty quick with his adjustments, guys. And once he realizes the mistake that Jaron Ennis Boots does, because when Boots gets hit, it's like a pride thing and a save face thing, and he still leaves himself open. You know what I'm saying? Crawford's a guy that can definitely, when I flip over this card, I remember the other card that matches it is over here. He's a guy that easily knows how to, do those type of simple games. You understand? He does it in the ring pretty much on the fly. Nobody's worried about no Jaron Ennis Boots. To me, it would be funny just to, once again, Terrence Crawford already said you guys want to see another dead body, but it would be funny to see another, thing that these Spence PBC fans put their hope into fail again. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to be as depressed and as distraught as they were with Errol Spence and coming to that realization and having to deal with the reality of that situation. But again, it would definitely affect them. I wonder if they would finally humble themselves and not try to build a guy, that can defeat Terrence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? Jaron in his boots is not. Virgil Ortiz, again, if he were healthy, I have him being more of a threat against Terrence Crawford than Jaron in his boots. Again, Boots is a very talented guy, no doubt. He's got physical skills that a lot of fighters, athleticism, things like that a lot of fighters can't match. But there's still a lot of immaturity there. He's a guy who likes to experiment still instead of just getting the job done. And the showboating is the thing for me. Lomachenko and even Roy Jones, they kind of fell in love with that type of crap, and it ended up hurting them later on in their career. Roy Jones mostly when he got old and he moved back down. He already did something that not too many people can or ever will do in the sport ever. You understand? It's just to kind of give you guys an analogy that you might understand. But in his boots, you're already there and you're a young fighter. Yes, you got like 30 fights, but I mean, again, they've put you in there with no hopers. You really have no real true experience. The same things that these fans were trying to say about Bud, again, just like our last video, I got to double down. They apply more to Drawn in his boots. He doesn't have as good as chin as Terrence Crawford. I can tell you that right now. He just doesn't. You guys want to argue that, we can. And once again, I'll prove it with video evidence. You're not even fighting guys that really punch hard. You're fighting guys, again, coming off house arrest. I never seen that type of crap with Bud, in his career. You can see old boy knew he was going to fight, PBC $2 hooker. What's his name? Mario Barrios. That should tell you all that you need to know right there. Robert Guerrero at one point became a $2 hooker for Al Haymon. That's how Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia got their belts. And then Adrian Granados, of course, has been one of the ultimate Al Haymon $2 hookers. You understand? And then guys like Sean Porter and Danny Garcia, they're premium Al Haymon hookers. So, they're more on the premium side. So instead of, $2 hookers, they're, maybe $50 hookers, okay? But nothing greater, nothing too special, guys who've relied on specific type matchmaking as well. And Danny Garcia, this is a guy who screwed up plenty of times, when they try to give you, it's been the same story for so many of their fighters. They try to give these guys the road to success on a silver platter and the most non-threatening way possible, you know what I'm saying? And these guys, they still kind of almost screw it up every time. Keith Thurman being a prime example. You shouldn't have lost to Manny Pacquiao. I'm sorry. And they assisted him in that fight. They try to give him credit, on the scorecards and punch stats. But, it was Manny who had the best case for rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 was a swing round. And Keith Thurman, he won round 7. Even Keith Thurman's own words, he asked his trainer what round is it, and his trainer told him it's round 7. That's when you really see Keith Thurman step on the gas. You know what I'm saying? Round 10, Manny Pacquiao won, and I think Manny Pacquiao, again, round 12 was a swing round, but I think Manny Pacquiao definitely took that round against Keith Thurman. But according to the scorecards and punch stats, they want you to believe that, that fight was so close when it wasn't. Even Errol Spence said that fight wasn't close, and they assisted him, just on the perception and things like that. But again, Duran in his boots, he's too green. He does have a good chance just because of his punch placement, timing, and his exceptional talent. But again, especially when you grow up in today's times, these kids today, they're nowhere near close to what a Terrence Crawford is as far as being a man and things like. It's just by design. It's how society is today. This is why you see these men, they turn to more female dog type ways and tactics and thought processes. Jaron in his boots, of course, his dad's been there for him and things like that. But, it's just a different time. These men are more like women today. And coming across a battle-hardened dude like a Terrence Crawford, again, who's also a competitor, guys, you're putting your faith in yet another hopeless endeavor. And that's all I really have to tell you guys. Drawn in his boots is just the next flavor of the month. He's the next fad. You guys ain't gonna buy his pay-per-view if he ever does reach that level. Mario Barrios, we told you who they're gonna have him fight. Ugas, again, same difference. Some kind of PBC $2 hooker. That's not gonna get the job done. It's not gonna draw any interest too much to Duran in his boots career. They had to lie about guys' pay-per-views like Errol Spence, and you guys sat here and tried to call Crawford a diva. And you wonder how he was able to implement coin tosses and things like that into negotiations when you had a guy telling you for years that he's the A side and all this other nonsense. Duran in his boots, there's nothing there, guys. There's nothing. You know what I'm saying? To me, this is just a joke, in the fact that they would reset their formula and think it's going to have any success when it's not. And again, Boots, he's just saving face on the internet. You knew what you were doing when you ducked Terrence Crawford, when you weren't signed to Showtime. You and your daddy couldn't even get your story straight together. You didn't even provide that step. You already moved to the IBF, and you knew why you moved to the IBF, because Al Haymon and them, they promised you that you would get a belt regardless of this fight. This stuff was premeditated, No one needs a front on this internet. If you guys want to continue down the false narratives crap, you feel very bad what happened to your hype job, Errol Spence. and you know, you just don't want to give up on that game, and you think Drawn in his boots is going to help you out with that. Hey, it is what it is. If I'm Terrence Crawford, the best time to strike probably would be now, while you're still somewhat, you know, not too old yet. He's still keeping in the gym and things like that, I hope. You know, catch Drawn in his boots now and just shut these haters up, or you're going to actually give Drawn in his boots a bigger chance on beating you if you wait, you know. But again, he's got options. He still has the rematch, you know. We know that PBC's not good with their money. That's probably the only thing that's holding it back. Al Heyman is looking for a new sucker to front his bill, you know. He didn't want to pay Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford the money that they ended up getting paid. So we understand what it is with Al Heyman as well. He knows that a more manageable fight is probably Drawn in his boots, because he doesn't have to pay Drawn in his boots money. You know what I'm saying? You could pay him like $2 million if you're even going to pay him that. 1.5, you understand. Danny Garcia and them were getting paid stipend, you know, but you don't have to give him his full amount up front, and then, you know, that way you can pay a guy like Terrence Crawford, who is the A side. And it's funny that I'm now mentioning this. Terrence Crawford, though, he's a guy who believes in himself, and he's a competitor. So regardless of what he chooses to do, you know, whether he'll be like 37, 38 by the time he and Boots becomes a reality or not, I know he's going to give it his all, and he's going to do what he can. And, you know, he's not like these Errol Spences and Keith Thurmans and all these female dog type dudes. So it is what it is, you know. We'll talk to you guys later, though. I'm just trying to reiterate this stuff is premeditated. I'm sure the same crew is going to try to manufacture false narratives like they always did. And we're just giving our 2 cents on this. We will talk to you guys later. All right, bye.